So yeah, I'm Solomon Stewart. I work on the NFP RPAG side with our client service. So as much as John Nelson likes talking about ERISA, that's how much I like talking about client service. We're a lively bunch. Okay, so when I started in this role, I'm a very technical type of person, right? So I thought that I would be able to keep my clients, make them happy, excel at what I'm doing by getting all the technicals right. I quickly learned that there's more to it than that, right? There's a lot more soft things that we have to do. There's a lot more elements to keeping clients. And I'm sure all of you already know that. One of the things that I'll point out today as we go through this is none of this is rocket science, right? None of this is anything that's going to be brand new to anybody, but they're all important little things to kind of keep in mind. And when you kind of put together the pieces of the mosaic, that all comes together and leads towards better client outcomes, keeping your clients and making them more happy and making you an IPA, which at the end of the day, we're all after. So when we think about rapport versus report, one thing that drives me crazy, and I'm sure you've all seen it as well, is when you get into a meeting and there's someone else in that meeting and all they're doing is reading the little bullets in the report that's there. Know your report. Spend that time in the meeting being a little more lively, right? Talk to the clients, engage with them a little bit. Don't make them dread your meeting. That's one of those key things that we always try to manage. A lot of clients are not excited for the 401k meeting, right? We're excited for it, but they might not be excited for it. So don't make them dread it even more. So we've got a number of different key items on here. We'll cover a few of these. Really, at the end of the day, oh wait, I'm trying to get this laser to go. There we go. We're looking to wow your clients and create an untouchable relationship. All right, so these pieces on the bridge, this is what we're going to do. These pieces under the bridge, that's what we're after with our clients. So getting to know your clients. How do you do this in a fiduciary investment review and outside of a fiduciary investment review? A lot of it really is leveraging the tools that Luke just talked about, right? That executive summaries, meeting minutes tool. Someone yesterday described it to me as it's like TSA pre-check. I thought that's the perfect explanation for it. Nobody likes going through security. It's still a pain, but it's a lot better if you go through TSA pre-check than if you go through the regular line. You get to keep your shoes on. And the other piece of it is once you do it, you look back on it and say, why did I not do this earlier? So that was a fantastic way of putting it. That is one tool I highly, highly encourage everyone to use if you're not already using it. But overall, what we're really looking at is creating efficiency, right? How do you create efficiency in what you're doing, the things you have to do, so that you can do these other things that really drive the client relationship? So a lot of this happens in the meeting, right? There's a lot of pieces. As you're talking to clients, we've entered this new world now where sometimes it's a virtual meeting instead of an in-person meeting, and that obviously changes the dynamic, makes it a little bit harder to do. But I think a lot of these things you can still do in that virtual setting. Ask questions. One person, one of my favorite advisors, her name is Jill Shea, she always says asking questions is a good way of getting answers. I told her that I used that quote the other day, and she said, oh, it's actually a Big Bird quote. So, I mean, maybe Big Bird's going to take on retirement planning here soon. But ask questions. And at the bottom, people like others to take interest in them. They like it if you ask questions about their business, about them as individuals. So ask those questions. That 5 minutes when you're on the Zoom before the other committee members arrive, that's valuable. You get the time for some one-on-one questions there that you can ask about things. That's a long quote. I'll give you a second to read it. Ask questions. That's the piece of it that's important. So how do you do this again, right? How do we squeeze this into our already extremely busy schedules? One aspect I think is really important is being intentional with it. You have to put something in place that helps you get these things done on a consistent basis. So one of those could be take all your clients and divide them by 12, right? So you have 50 clients. You set an invite on your calendar, don't put it on their calendar, put on your calendar to check in with one of those clients, 1/12 of your clients every month. That's 4 clients a month. That's 4 phone calls a month that you can make to your clients that are check-ins. They're not expected by the client. They're not on the calendar. You're not calling with a real agenda. You have to call with something to say, but call them and check in, see how they're doing. One caveat to that is once you check in, be prepared for some work to come out of that, right? So don't call them when you're at your busiest time. Be prepared that, oh yeah, hey, I was gonna call you. I saw this thing come up. Can we work on getting this error corrected or something like that? But that proactive check-in, now you've gone to them, they haven't come to you. So that gives you a lot of points in the client service bank. The bottom one I think is impactful as well, setting up Google Alerts. I actually just did this recently. It's been amazing. I found out that one of my clients is about to be acquired by private equity. Found out another client just got a new CFO and CEO. All of these are major things that are happening at the client that I really wouldn't know about. I don't have the time to sit there and Google every client before I do something, but Google will send it to me and I can filter through that relatively easily. Make sure your client knows you, right? So this is a two-way street, right? It's not just your client knowing, or not just you knowing about your client. And I'll actually take a step back on that. So knowing about your client really comes down to 2 levels, knowing the business and knowing the individuals. So kind of back to the comments around the differences between Zoom and in person. One of the things we would do whenever we're in person is as you walk through the office, look around. Like, do you see trophies on the wall? Do you see different types of different themes in the artwork around the building? Ask them for a tour of the building. All of these things are ways that you can find connection points to connect with your client and overall build that relationship even deeper. So making sure the client knows you. This is, again, 2 layers on this one. They should know you as an individual, right? I say one of the best things I ever did for client retention was to have a kid. So as soon as they find out that, oh, your wife's pregnant, you're gonna have a baby soon, all these conversations start happening. You enter this kind of new realm. And so it is one of those things. Share your life events with them. Share, one of our other advisors just got a puppy. It's been great for client retention. So a lot of these things that are, your life events, things that you're interested in, your clients are probably interested in too. Right, a couple slides back, they're people. They're people just like we are. So let's talk to them like people, let's interact with them like people, let's create relationships with them like we do with people. Also your firm, so this is really important as well. A lot of times clients, we as the individual advisor, may be the only point of contact they have with the entire organization really over the course of the year. So we don't want them to think that it's just me. I'm good, but I'm not that good, right? We need them to know that there's a whole lot of additional resources there. So anytime a client calls and says, hey, we had this issue came up, and if I don't know the answer to it, I can say, you know what, I'm gonna go back and check with our ERISA team and find out. Or I'm gonna check with our investment team and find out. I'm gonna check with our benchmarking team and find out. I can remind them of all of those different resources within the organization that they might not see day to day. So that helps them when they get hit up by one of the other advisors out there saying, oh, we're big and bad and we've got all of these cool things. I say, yeah, well, the organization that I already work with has those things as well. This also, I think, for RPAG members comes back to a lot of the tools that are in the system. And one of the slides I think Veronica put up earlier, all of those things there are your tools. They're all available to you. That's your team. That is your depth of resources that you have available that you can then bring to the clients. So even if your practice is a handful of people, you still have that big support network on the back end that you can use to deliver that value to clients. Remind them that you are their go-to, right? You want to be that first call. You want to be their trusted advisor. That was the piece in the middle we were looking at. We want them to be coming to us all the time. Another great quote, every client interaction, you are selling yourself and your firm. The other thing I would say is that as you think about, if you have multiple people in your organization interacting with clients, they should have this idea in mind as well, right? The accounting team reaching out to the client for an invoice should be viewing that as a client service sales interaction. So as you think about training and working with other individuals within your organization, this is a philosophy that everybody should have in mind when you're talking to clients. Setting proper expectations and exceeding them. This is a big one. It's so simple to do, but we all fail at it consistently. Telling the client what you're actually able to do, what you're going to do, and when you're going to do it, and then sticking to that is, it's kind of like a baseline, right? If you're telling the client, I'm going to get you this report by the end of the week, one, you don't have to say you're going to get it to them by the end of the week. So think about how you're phrasing things when you're talking to clients about what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. So letting them know, giving them a timeline is helpful, but at the same time, you want to make sure that is reasonable, that you can do it. So don't tell them you can get them by the end of the week when you know you're getting on an airplane to fly out to the next summit, right? Build it so that you can meet those goals. Another piece of it is that if you're not able to get something to them, follow up and let them know. I always view this as if the client follows up with me, if they come to me and say, hey, what's going on with this report? That's a failure on my part. So one, I either didn't set the expectation correctly so that they knew when I was going to get it to them, or I didn't provide them with an update to say, hey, this is going to take a little bit longer than expected. Here's why, but I'm still on it, right? Give them updates. Don't make it feel like their request went into the black hole. So providing them with that again, we're not talking about rocket science stuff here. It's fairly simple, it's fairly straightforward, but these are these little things that you can put in place that overall make the client service experience much, much better for your client. One of my favorites on here, oops, oh man, I can mix up my buttons here. Learn to say no with a yes and explain how to do it. Clients ask us for a lot of stuff, right? This kind of goes back to the idea of you want to be their go-to, you want to be their first call. If you're the first call, you might not be able to do what they want. You might not have time to do what they want within the expected time frame. So maybe there's someone else who can do it. Lean on your record keeper partners. But the way that you can do that, and I've seen emails like this before, so client reaches out and says, hey, can you do XYZ? Email back, nope. That's not helpful, right? We need to have something back to the client of, unfortunately, this isn't something that comes with us, but you know who's really good at this is Eric, and I've copied Eric on this email, right? Those types of things. Now you're saying, no, I can't do this for you, but we're saying, yes, I'm going to get you the solution that you need, and I'm going to solve your problem. So now the client, they're coming to you. They know you are their go-to. You might not be their go-to for the answer for every single thing, but they know you're going to get them in the right place, and they know they just have to go to one person, and it's going to get done. Top laser, first time, there we go. Periodically refresh everyone's knowledge on the engagement. This is another area where we see issues come up of clients, maybe one year you accidentally give another meeting or something was needed, so now they're looking for 3 meetings a year instead of 2 meetings a year. Make sure the client understands what they've engaged you for, what's in the agreement, and also what the fees are. I have a firm belief that every advisor should know what their client's fees are anytime you walk into a meeting with them. So that one person who comes into the meeting and says, hey, how much do we pay you? You could say, oh, it's 15 basis points of plan assets. You should be able to answer that question. I think that's kind of a given. So making sure that they understand that as well. So, as I think about things like if another advisor comes in, they say, well, how much do you pay your advisor? I would rather the client be able to answer the question of, we pay them 15 basis points, rather than, oh, I'm not sure. Let me have to go back and check on that. Right? Make sure they understand. Get everybody on the same page. All the expectations are in line with each other. This kind of back to the idea of never fail to provide an update, proactively provide updates if your response will be delayed. So this is a kind of wrapping this up here, becoming more than their advisor. You want to be their business partner. So we talk about this as the Indispensable Plan Advisor, but there's more to it than that. We want them to view us side by side with their business. We want them to view us as an employee of their business, an extension of their HR team or their finance team. You are providing a service to the organization as well as to their employees, and it's important that they view that and understand that as well. So top one, be that person that they call first. Share examples of how you've done this with other types of companies. So one, what this does is it broadens out. It lets you tell stories of successes with another organization. So you get to brag a little bit, right? Like that's always good. And it lets the client know, hey, here's new things that I could do for you in this space. So we'll use this a lot of times for executive benefits, right? So with this client over here, I might be telling them the story of, hey, we had another client that was failing testing, and we came in and we put in a non-qualified plan, and the testing issues still exist on the 401k, but now the highly compensated group could finally save into the plan. They go, oh, that's interesting. Can I talk to somebody about that? I say, yes, I know the perfect person. His name's Tony Green. So we loop people in like that. I'm showing them my expanded resources. I'm showing them what I can do with other people, other clients that are in their situation. It also helps solidify that I've got a large group of clients. I work with a lot of organizations. I can bring a lot of different experience back into my consulting with you when I interact with you. The kind of general question, what keeps them up at night? I've never asked this question exactly, but I do use it in terms of what is concerning for them. I think, we all have that, actually what keeps us up at night, right? You try to go to sleep, there's something going on, it's swirling in your head. What is that? Identify that, understand what that is for your clients, and then you can help them solve that issue. That's one of the ways that we talk about our ERISA support is it's really just to make them feel comfortable so they can go to sleep at night. So they're not worried about, are we gonna get an audit on the 401k plan? Like just having that safety net and that confidence is something that's very, very powerful for clients. All right, other things on here. I'm trying not to be a report reader. You can all see it. So we will go ahead and wrap it up with another quote on here. Treat your clients like prospects and your prospects like a client. This also came from Jill Shea, maybe Big Bird, but I don't know. So thank you all for the time. I will be around at the happy hour and dinner tonight. Actually would love to hear any of your client success stories. Like I said, I like talking about this stuff. So, your successes are our successes here within RPAG. So thank you all. Appreciate the time.